Just a note for anyone that's in the public side, if you do want to sign up for public comment, please do so via the chat. If we ask that you do it by 9 for time management, and just know that comments left in the chat will not be acknowledged.
All right, let's get started.
He's trying to join right now. So if he's joining the call.
Hawkins.
Can you do me a favor, Jay? Can you upgrade? That's Jeff. He's the other cell phone that's listed.
Working on it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna get started.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. The trustees of the Boston Public Library reaffirm our commitment to racial equity and to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion more broadly. The library is formally committed to becoming an anti-racist organization in response to systemic racism, inequity, and injustice prevalent in our society. We acknowledge also that the Boston Public Library Central Library stands on land that was once a water-based ecosystem providing sustenance to the indigenous Massachusetts people. And it's a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among nations. We are committed to land acknowledgements for all locations at which we operate. We reaffirm this commitment to set the context for our planning, deliberations, and public engagement so that they take place from the spirit of welcome and respect found in our motto, free to all. All right, roll call.
Arana Ortiz.
Here.
Heiler.
Here.
Jeff Hawkins. I know he is on. Jeff, can you unmute yourself? I'm acknowledging. I see Jeff. He is on the call. And then David Leonard.
Here.
And just so everyone knows, Senator Mike Rush is not able to make today's meeting. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. Can I please get a motion for the approval of the minutes of April 11th?
So moved. Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And any abstentions? Any nays? Motion passes. The one note, we normally during this meeting, we go through the annual contracts. Those are all gonna be, we're not gonna go through it, so we have time to go through the budget. They're just your standard maintenance contracts that will all be deferred to the annual meeting. All right. All right, next slide. All right, so the meat of the meeting for today will be on the budget. So Emily, and for those, I did have an opportunity to sit in the Ways and Means Committee. Very well done, guys. Very good presentation, very good answers. I didn't see any surprises, but well done, guys. So with that, Emily.
Very much. Good morning, trustees. Just to start off this morning, I wanted to give an overview of where we are with the budget process. Since we last met, the mayor has released her FY26 recommended budget for the library. And as Evelyn just noted, just last week, we participated in our city council hearing as well. This first slide shows a basic summary of the recommendation. I'm going to get into the details of where the reductions live in a moment. But it's approximately a 1% decrease over the current fiscal year, under the current fiscal year. The other thing that I wanted to clarify on this first page here, the headcount change, it's a couple of things. One, this is only the city operating headcount. It does not include the external salaries that we fund as well. And the majority of the change here came due to how the city calculates full-time equivalents. We have a large number of part-timers within the library staff, and our team noticed that a lot of the part-timers were counted as 1.0 FTEs, and it's not accurate. So in this budget cycle, we actually reduced those down to 0.33, which is what's making up the majority of that 37 headcount reduction there. If we can go to the next slide. This here shows each budget line that showed any sort of adjustment for this year. Permanent employees, there is a 3% increase there. That's general wage increases for the staff that we already have on staff. Utilities is not, it's something that's centrally budgeted, so it doesn't really impact the library's operation. It was a reduction based on history and trends that they see with the library utility numbers. Repairs to service and equipment is around IT equipment, technology equipment that we have. Transportation of persons is another one that's being centrally budgeted. So it's the MBTA passes that our staff is able to sign up for. They're just moving it all over to the city this year. Contracted services came down almost $500,000, and that's due to this current fiscal year, FY25, we received a $455,000 one-time investment that was included as a budget line last year. We knew that that was coming out. So again, not impactful in terms of a maintenance budget. The miscellaneous supplies line, that's our books and materials. So that's a reduction that we're seeing this year. And then the other two are fairly minimal. The lease purchase, it's just due to change in payments for the items that we have on lease purchase, and then miscellaneous equipment as well. So overall, about a 1%. And it is a fiscally responsible budget. They had a lot of work that they had to do on the OBM side this year. And we've had some great helpful meetings with our colleagues at OBM too, and they're going to be working with us for any shortfalls that we might see for this next year. Next slide. Oh, sorry, go back one more. Thank you. Capital budget, this was actually a great increase. So we see 18 items on the list. They are alphabetical here. There is no structure to the scheduling based on the list that you're seeing. But the 283 million is actually a 31% increase over the recommendation for last year. So this is huge. And that many locations included in the capital plan too is a great add. Now the next slide. This is the remain. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Emily, on the capital budget, the increase was due to what? Was like a library was added? Like what happened?
Sure. If we can scoot back, it's a couple of things. If we can go back one slide to the capital budget. It's a couple of things. There were 3 additions that came on. So some infrastructure, I think it's some HVAC and roof work that we know needs to happen at a few different locations. And then there were increases. So as capital projects kind of go through the process from study design into construction, we essentially more money is added to the capital projection for that building. So I think Uplands and West End were 2 major increases, and just some other adjustments to those totals. I apologize, it's one slide back here, but I think you all have it in your packets.
Got it. Thank you.
Looking at the external funds budget, 2 things I want to flag here right away for FY26. This is only a projection. It has nothing to do with the dollar amounts raised or how the actual amounts that will be spent. These are simply projections. And then for the fund and the affiliates in particular, the FY26 numbers do not include the non-personnel items yet. So this is literally just the salaries that have been added into the budget. So we know these numbers are going to be increasing before July 1 starts. But this is a projection of what we are estimating to be spent for FY26. Any immediate questions from anyone?
Not for me. Jeff, John?
No, it's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
All right, so the next slide. So we need to take a vote to recommend approval to the trustees. So this will go in front of the trustees next week, based on our recommendation to accept this budget. So can I get a motion, please?
I will move.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any abstentions, any nays? Motion passes. Thank you so much. All right. 990.
Thank you. Next up, I believe you all have drafts of the 990 forms. We're prepping to file the 2024 tax returns this week. Part of that process includes providing copies to this committee. So please let me know if anyone has any questions as you're reviewing those. No vote.
No vote. No questions for me. I already saw them. All right. Next, we have a few topics of discussion. Next slide, Pamela. So, Beth, hello.
Morning, everyone. This is also not for a vote. This is strictly informational, but I wanted to let you know about a request for proposal that was recently released by the library as part of our standard procurement process. You all know that BPL is moving towards the renovation of the historic McKim building, and a core component of that preparatory work requires a deeper analysis of the intersections and interdependencies within the central library. And in particular, we are really looking for a strategy to guide the future of public service, user experience, collection management, and storage operations and space utilization at the central library. We also have a brand new strategic plan that we are looking to implement and recognize the need for some external support to do that work. There is a forthcoming announcement about a major grant to support this through the fund. And this RFP is the first component of implementation of that grant. There'll be more information about it shortly, but I wanted to let this committee know, because we are in the RFP process. It was released several weeks ago. We've identified finalists whom we will be interviewing over the next several weeks. The expectation is that we will also let the full board of trustees know that this work is happening, but the plan is that the vote for this vendor to be selected will happen at the executive committee the first week in June. So this is a major project that's happening. So this is informational for this group, but the expectation is that it would go to the executive committee for vote.
Hey, Beth, because I'm curious, what is the scope of these services?
So the scope of services, there are five components that are deliverables for this work. The first is a vision statement and service strategy that will essentially articulate the ideal state of services, operations, collection access, and spaces across the central library. It will be a user experience analysis and plan. We need a user experience strategy for the central library, not just what spaces are providing what programmatic use, but how they intersect, and also thinking about what the experience is for people using those spaces. It will provide us collection management criteria for what we store at Central, which has been, as I think people know, we have a significant space issue storing collections, but we also need a strategy for what is stored within the Central Library. It will look at our back of house models and think about what an operational strategy is for us to deliver all those front of house services. And then it will create a high level space program, not what is happening in a specific room, but more broadly, what are the physical spaces that we need to support this vision and strategic direction for the Central Library.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any questions for Beth? No? All right. Thank you so much. Emily, back to you.
Thank you. Another informational item we wanted to bring to the committee's attention simply because of the dollar amount. The MOU that is in place with the Leventhal Math and Education Center, it includes a required minimum share expense payment annually. This is in lieu of the annual gala that the library used to hold. For FY25, the payment totals just over $491,000. Previously, the full amount was transferred from unrestricted funds that were held by the BPL fund. This year, the library will be paying a portion out of its own unrestricted funds in the total of about $191,000. So the fund is still taking the primary payment. It's not a change in the total amount paid. We're essentially swapping one unrestricted fund for another. But because of the dollar amount, we wanted to bring it.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Salary allocations based on Library for the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I know it has my name on it, and I'm happy to speak to it. But Emily, do you want to tee it up, and then Michael, who has managed this program deeply for the years, can give us a little color. Again, this is bringing transparency and visibility to a part of the budget at a level of detail that we haven't previously needed to do.
Thank you, David. So for the Library for the Commonwealth, it is an annual funding source that the library receives. There is an agreement in place that 50% of the LFC allocation can be used to support salaries of individuals whose work benefits the Commonwealth. For FY25, that salary component totaled $2,375,000. While no decisions have been made, we wanted to present to the committee in the event that the library would like to increase that percentage in the future, and bring that as a topic of discussion. Michael, if you want to jump in.
Sure. If we do want to increase the salary allocation above the 50%, all that is required is we bring it to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. We have done this in the past several times. They readily approve it. The restriction of the 50% was put in place back in the late 60s, early 70s, really just so that the city at the time wouldn't try to put all the salaries onto Library for the Commonwealth and off of city budget. So it's really to protect us. So the Board of Library Commissioners has no problem with waiving that restriction. Just to add a little bit more color, when the salaries that we do apply to Library for the Commonwealth, as Emily mentioned, are roles that provide services available to the Commonwealth, the entire Commonwealth. So, for example, our entire digital and online services team, who run the Digital Commonwealth program, which benefits libraries across and communities all across the state, their salaries, for example, are included in the Library for the Commonwealth budget. So that's the type of thing that we look at. And I'm also happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, I will just add that this is our planning exercise. There are several functions in the library where salaries perform functions both for the city and for the Commonwealth, and there's often a range involved. So, for example, a technical services team member might spend between 10 and 20% of their activities on statewide work, and the range is good. That gives us some flexibility, but perhaps in the past we've only charged the 10% and not something closer to the 20%. So this is an exercise to do some responsible salary allocation, but also mitigate against future risk should there be cuts, and we understand where where those risks occur. And again, there is still that 50% threshold. There was an exemption granted for the 3 repository developer salaries, which we can also reactivate should we choose as well. So it'd be fairly complicated to the outside advisor allocation model, but it's about charging tasks to their most appropriate funding source, while at the same time hedging and mitigating against the potential for future cuts, whether those be next year or the year or at some point in the future.
But I have a question though. So, because the amount is what it is, right? And so I'm going to try to simplify it to see if I can understand that in my head. So we get this pot of money, and then out of that pot of money, we say, well, we allocate this much here, this much there, this much here. It's not that we go to the library of the Commonwealth and say, hey, this is, we've allocated these percentages and this is what it is. Here's your bill. Is that right? Like how?
It's a dollar amount that's provided as part of the library's budget every year. So
that, right. So sorry, Emily, but so the reason I say that is, so, it's like you get a pie and then how do you break up the pie, right? It's an exercise, but it doesn't mean, and I just want to clarify it, it doesn't mean that the fact that you're allocating more percentages of salaries, you're taking something out of something, right? Because you still have a bucket of money. Is like, how do you take that money and you disperse it? Varies, but you still have the same bucket of money. So you're taking something away from what in order to allocate higher here? That's one question, right?
So I can answer that one quickly. So the budget does change every year, and we've been very fortunate over the last many years that it just increases every year. So we have been traditionally working with more money from the state every year. This year, it's uncertain. It looks like it will either be level funded or possibly there are legislators trying to get an increase. So if there is an increase, then we have more funding to work with. So we have to rebuild the budget based on those increases. If it's level funded, the non-personnel side has a lot of funding towards ebooks, towards the digitization work we do, towards the electronic resources we provide. So that is funding that we can adjust every year based on need and based on the entire budget. So that's how we kind of create the budget each year. Is Evelyn frozen?
we might have lost her.
Hey, back?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm just going to say for the record, I am not in Puerto Rico. I am in the city of Boston and I just lost power. Somebody needs to explain that to me.
Did you hear
Anyway.
did you miss what I said, Evelyn, or did you get that?
No, I missed it.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Because I'm-
So basically, the Library for the Commonwealth budget, which comes from the state, we've been very fortunate over the last many years that it increases every year. So it's not a static number. It's based on what the legislature allots to us each year. So this coming year, that could change. It's looking like it would either be a level funded budget or possibly there might still be a small increase. There are some legislators trying to get that through. But the way we construct the budget each year is the non-personnel side contains a lot of things like ebooks, electronic resources, or the digitization work we do, which is we can allocate to our discretion. So we do have some flexibility if we need to move funding back and forth between the non-personnel and the personnel budget.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for the clarification, because I thought, and probably this is my PTSD from a few years back, but I thought that number was going down. And it went am I right on this? There was a point in time when the number really got slashed.
Yeah, 2001, 2002, it got majorly slashed, and then 2008, we got another cut, but it's been growing since then.
Okay. All right. See, I was not making this up. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Memory served me right. All right.
I just want to add just a quick little note that the chair of the board will be joining us shortly. He's just trying to join right now. Just noting it for the record.
Okay. All right. Next line. All right, so this is a contract approval. Michael, you're back on the docket.
Yep. Great. So we've been very fortunate from the Boston Public Library Fund to receive a considerable amount of funding towards our workforce development and career counseling services. This recent grant of 150,000 was granted to us this year, and we are working. We were looking for a partner to work with to provide some of these services that combine workforce development, career counseling with ESOL services, so that we're really working with communities where English is a second language and helping them develop their workforce skills and find employment. And we have selected JVS, the Jewish Vocational Service. We did some informal research, and we feel they're the only company that really can provide the services they need, that we need, where our BPL staff have expertise in English language training around workforce services. JVS has training in both career coaching and English instruction, which has made them an important long-term partner with the BPL. We've been working with them over the years. The students who participate in the workshops are directed to further training opportunities through JVS that are specifically career-driven, including automotive technician training, carpentry vocation education, technical education, nursing assistant and patient care, hotel training, HVAC, early childhood education, many of which include job placement services upon successful completion of the program. This unique aspect of JVS, having the direct connections to jobs in health, hospitality, and other vocational programs, align with their very large member employer network, and include sharing a space with Mass Hire. So they make them a very appealing partner for us to work with. They are one of the providers. They're the only provider we've identified that has the capacity to serve our patron population in addition to their own services. So they were really the only organization we could work with at this level. So we're asking to approve the $150,000 partnership with them over the next 2 years to have them provide these services in addition to our own.
Question, Michael.
Mhm.
Because I'm trying to play on my phone, making sure that you can hear me. What is the on this contract? How do you measure out? Is there a way to measure outcomes?
Yes, I don't have the grant in front of me, but they are they're going to be offering a series of programs where including employment-focused workshops, office hour sessions, and individualized coaching. So part of what we do is we report on the number of participants who participate in each of those things, the workshops, the office hour sessions, and the individualized coaching. But then we also have been doing qualitative reporting around people who have successfully found employment, of course, being the ultimate goal, people who have successfully attended job fairs and gotten interviews, and people who have reported improvement in creating resumes and in interview skills through the workshops. So those are the type of things that we report back in the granting process.
It's also worth noting
Okay.
that we just hired our data evaluations and programs evaluation specialist, who you'll meet briefly at the full board meeting. But he'll be working with all of the program owners to develop metrics consistent with the new strategic plan guidance. So that's going to be a huge departure, aside from what might occur within the context of individual grant requirements.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, any more questions? All right, if not, we need to go into a vote. Can I please get a motion to approve this contract, which is not to exceed, sorry, I can't read, not to exceed 50,000 per year for English learners, employment-focused instruction and career coaching and job placement. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela, next.
Just want to acknowledge Ray is on the call.
All right, Jonathan, you're up on the docket. These are all recommended for full board approval, so no votes here. It's just a recommendation. So, Jonathan, you want to do a quick run through these?
Absolutely. Thank you, Evelyn. The first contract up for board approval is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contract that maintains all of our building systems. The total amount of the contract value for a 3-year contract is $8,917,612.80. To MCore Services Northeast, who was the lowest bidder in the public acquisition process for this contract.
Keep going, because we'll just approve them all as a lot.
Sure. All right.
instead of
I'll just
going
keep
one
on
by
rolling.
one.
All right.
Yeah, 'cause
The
it'll
second
be
alarm up
easier.
for the second contract up for approval is the fire alarm contract responsible for maintaining and inspecting our building fire alarm systems. The winning proposal came from an American Services Company for a 3-year contract value of $242,294.00.
Mhm.
And then the final contract is for elevator maintenance, and that is from United, and for a 3-year contract value of $621,000.00.
Pamela, can you? Yeah, thank you. Here we go. All right. Any questions? These are kind of like the standard. I mentioned this, so we're gonna be not voting on these. We're just gonna recommend for them to go to the board. Any questions on these? These are like run-of-the-mill contracts of every year. No? All right. Motion to approve to recommend to the full board for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstentions? Nays? None. Motion passes. Next, Pamela? Thank you, Jonathan.
That's done as a slate, so all 3 of them passed.
Yes. All right. Hey, Pamela, it occurred to me. The contract that we just voted, not those, the JVS, didn't you have to do a roll call? No? No? Okay. Got it. All right. I'm almost done, guys.
Generally speaking, I should do roll call votes for anything that's online. Any vote,
That's why I
single one
asked.
should be done, but we would have to do every single one of those votes that you just did as a slate individually as well.
Okay.
The narrower interpretation would be when we have a hybrid meeting, you do roll call to ensure that those who are joining remotely are captured.
Correct.
Versus
Okay.
a fully online meeting such as this one.
All right.
But as
So
one of
it
the
occurred.
organizers, I can see how, when everyone opens up their microphones and how they vote. And since you've had no
Okay.
nays.
I just want to make sure that, okay, I just want to make sure that we're legal. That's all. All right.
Yep.
So, all right. All right, final, the schedule. So we have, here's the schedule. We normally meet on Tuesday mornings. There's a little variation here. November, it's Thursday, simply because of elections. So just to want to highlight that, but here's the schedule for the upcoming fiscal year. If there's any questions or any conflicts, please let Pamela know. All right. And next, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I just need you to vote on the schedule.
Oh, we need to vote on the schedule. All right. All right. So can I get a motion to vote on the schedule?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any nays? We got a schedule. All right. No business? Anybody? Nothing? Excellent.
We do
Public
not,
comment.
we don't have any signups.
Okay, all right. 9:10,
Mhm.
we're good. We adjourn. I will see you all next
Have a
week.
great day,
Thank-
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you
you.
so
See you
much.
next. Bye-bye.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks. Take care.